You can make anything by writing. C.S. Lewis. Chapter 5. Have you ever had that perfect thought that gets you lost in the keyboard? When your words turn into pictures. That happens to me when I write that down. This is a podcast about becoming a writer, my favorite books, authors, and everything about the written word. This is Write That Down. You ready for this?
I am.
Yeah.
It's been a busy weekend.
Very.
You've been writing a lot?
I have. Oh my gosh. Saturday was chaotic.
Why?
Because I wrote all day for probably 8 hours straight.
Are you being serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It was really fun though. We got emotionally invested.
This is on the book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's on tap today?
Today we are doing reading and writing slumps, and we're going to talk about some teaching that I've done.
Okay.
And we have an interview with my friends Maya and Angel.
Awesome. So are we beginning with the slumps?
Yeah, let's start with that.
What do you mean by reading and writing slumps?
I'm kind of currently in a reading slump, which is not fun. It's kind of where you have zero motivation to read or to write. It's kind of like writer's block, but with reading.
I thought I was the only one that ever kind of went through that.
No, you just kind of pause. And so the way to beat it is just to like find a quick-paced book. But when you're in the middle of the book, you don't want to start a new book.
Right.
So that's your problem. So that's what I'm kind of in right now. It's taken me over 20 days to finish a book. And that's unheard of for me.
I know.
I know.
What book are you currently reading?
I'm reading Matched by Ali Condi, which is awesome. It's a really good book. I just don't want to read it.
Did you just read too much over the summer?
No, I don't. Sometimes it can be caused by too much reading. But that's not how it is right now. I think it's just because I have so much else going on that like I don't have time.
Right, you are pretty busy.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to say a reading slump, but a writing slump to me, that's an occupational hazard for you.
Occupational hazard, Dad. I mean, producer. No, like writing slumps are kind of like that too, where you just have zero motivation. And we kind of went through that for a couple weeks. And then what our cycle typically looks like, it's not very cycle-esque. It's not very, what's the word? Consistent. It's not consistent in the slightest. So we typically write really hard. We go hard like 4+ hours a day for like 2 weeks straight. And we knock it out. We typically do it like every day. And then all of a sudden, we just don't do it one day. We don't do it the next day. And like 2 weeks go by and we haven't written anything.
I think that's just human nature, though. Especially, I think we all go through things like that.
Right, but like when it's your job, you kind of have to.
Well, it's not necessarily your job. 8th grade is your job. This is what you want to aspire to be.
My job.
Okay. So I obviously write a lot for my job. There are two ways that I get out of the slumps in that case.
Force it?
Well, you have to when you're on deadline.
Okay, that's what
So
WikiHow
when you
told us
force
to
it,
do.
for me, you just go back to the basics. So as a journalist, it's just who, what, when, where, and why, right?
That's fair.
The other way is, I think you've talked about this before, is to find inspiration. So maybe to read something that you're impressed with, or for me, like to watch a news story that I thought was really well put together and say, yeah, that's
what I want.
Yeah, yes.
Well, right, but here's my thing. Like, there's so many books that, like, I absolutely love that I would read for that inspiration, but how our cycle kind of works is then we're stuck and then conflicts with schedule, or it just doesn't work out, or whatever. And then we finally are like, okay, today we're going to write. So we get on FaceTime, because we FaceTime when we write, and we go on, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we wrote a sentence. We're doing so good.
Right.
We wrote a sentence. And then we start getting off task, which was weird because that didn't happen. Yesterday, we kind of got out of our writing slump, but we wrote for 8 hours, and we were emotionally invested. And then today, we got maybe 2 pages done. It was really fun, though.
Right.
So we got off task a lot, but it was really, really fun.
I think we've talked about this before. When we lived in California, we lived near James Rollins, who puts out a book a year. And he's a veterinarian as well. So he writes, that's kind of his secondary thing. And he has a big sign above his computer that says, you have permission to write crap today. And he's like, that's my reminder that, not every day has to be an award-winning day. Just get something onto the page.
Right.
You know, and back to inspiration for me, sometimes it's not watching or reading something else. Sometimes it's just listening to music or getting myself out of my routine.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, but sometimes when we're in that kind of writing slump, we get on FaceTime, and then the first day we're back. We're like, we have to do something, but we don't know how to do it. That's why I really love co-writing, is because I can get off task with my best friend, and it's absolutely awesome. So what we did one time was we went onto WikiHow, which is probably the not good place for the internet, but like it explains how to, I say that in quotation marks, how to do something. Mm-hmm. So you search up like wiki how to, and we said how to beat writer's block, and it said just start. Mm-hmm. So then we just started, and it like kind of worked.
Right.
But like I've seen the memes and stuff of people doing exactly what WikiHow told you with the pictures and all.
So
but
you remain in your reading slump.
Yeah, that.
But do you feel like you're out of your writing slump now?
Yeah, out of writing slump, which is always fun because then I get going and it's really fun. Like I was on FaceTime with Avery probably 2 hours ago, and we were like, okay, what are you doing tomorrow? She's like, we have tryouts for Power of the Pen, second tryouts, and then I have to go to a game. I was like, dang, okay, what are you doing on Tuesday? And she was like, I have practice and then I have choir. I was like, no, dang, what are we doing on Wednesday? She's like, I think I just have practice. I was like, we're writing after her practice. So like we literally got so emotionally invested, and we were so upset that I had to stop that we started just immediately planning for the next time that we could. And that's what I really like about like this whole process, is because we want to write. It's not like we have to, it's our job kind of thing.
Right.
It's, we get to.
Speaking of that, lately you've been sharing that with others.
Yeah. So I went on the podcast, Adventures in Being Gifted, hosted by Jill Hartsock. She was my teacher in 3rd grade in our gifted program in our school. We called it ACT. She was my ACT teacher in 3rd grade, and her class was my absolute favorite to this day. Like, some of the most vivid memories I have is from her class. It makes me so happy to think about. And so I went on her podcast one day, and it was really, really fun. And she said, you inspired me to do this podcast. And then she started talking about how she wants me to come into her classroom and teach about writing, because I was obviously sharing a lot about my writing in this podcast. And she said, I really want you to come into my class and teach my kids how to write. So I said, okay. So I put together the first slideshow I ever made, and I did it with Avery, actually. And so we made the slideshow, and we made this little fun prompt, creative prompted writing. It was so much fun. And so then we were like, okay, we have to do this again. So we did it again, but with a creative prompted writing, and we did it again. And so we did a different kind of style. We're like testing things out. So we did it, I think we do it like every other Friday. Mm-hmm. That would just happen to lay like that, but it doesn't matter.
And so far, you've been in like 2 or 3 times?
I've been in 3 times. Okay. Avery's been in twice. The second time I went alone. And, I mean, that was just as fun. I mean, they were all like, where's Avery? And I was like, she's taking a test. But, so, like, we did creative prompted writing again. And my favorite thing I've ever heard was, this is the first time I've actually liked writing. It was this cute little boy, and he was like, yeah, I hate writing, but this is fun. And I was like, that's exactly what that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. You
said before, like, one of your great joys and goals is to make people inspired to write.
Yeah, because I feel like writing has this huge, not stigma, but like some people are like, oh, I hate writing. And it's my goal to kind of be like, no, writing is awesome. Maybe you should just try it like this. So basically I go on to Slides Carnival, and I get a template, and I just put on these lessons. And so I did creative prompted writing the first 2 times. Mm-hmm. And so the first time I gave them the prompt. The second time they created the prompt. And I remember talking about the talent show. I literally did that with them, and they loved it. They had so much fun. And so then we were like, okay, I mean, this writing is fun, but I mean, there are some other topics that Mrs. Hartsock is teaching about. So we should maybe try and incorporate those. So then I did a leadership lesson, and that was chaotic, but it was the most fun. We did 2 STEM challenges. The first one we did right off the bat. We did 2 pieces of paper and tape, and they had to build the tallest tower. And that was really fun, in like random groups. And then we talked about leadership, what are the good qualities of a leader, all those things. And then they did a different STEM challenge with marshmallows and toothpicks, and they tried to make the tallest tower again. And we watched how they could improve, and they tried to apply those little like leader things. Mm-hmm. And so they had so much fun with that. And one of my favorite parts, obviously I love the whole time I'm there, but at the end they're always like, when are you going to come back? And that just makes my heart so happy.
Do you think that you would teach?
I don't know. Like, I love I love doing that, but I don't know if that's my thing. I don't know if I could do that every single day. Like, that seems like really, really hard.
Teaching's in your family.
She's so kind, and she was like, okay, you all guys are so organized. I don't know how you do this. You are amazing. Thank you so much for coming in. Like, she's always so appreciative of when Avery and I can make it, and she's like, thank you for missing class, whatever. And it was just little moments like that when I just get to spend time with her is awesome.
I think it's really cool that you're getting an opportunity to go into the classroom and to inspire young writers. Mm-hmm. But you've been surrounded from your age group by so many great writers.
Oh, yeah. And so we're going to talk to some of them right now.
Okay.
Maya and Angel, they are two of the nicest, sweetest people on the planet, and they are co-writing a book. All right, so I am here with Angel and Maya. Maya, say hi.
Hi.
And Angel, say hi.
Hi.
So Angel, for everyone who doesn't know, what is your book called and what is it about?
Our book is called Hit by Magic, and the four main characters in the story are May and Mabel, twin sisters, and Charlie and Bristle, who are siblings. They discover in the story that their parents are part of a secret organization, and they're trying to defeat the villains, the unknowns, who are trying to steal May and Mabel's powers.
That sounds awesome. So Maya, how did this idea originate? Who inspired you, and how are they or it portrayed in your story?
So me and Angel have always kind of loved writing, and we realized that we wanted to write a book together. So we started by trying to write this one story. It was like, I don't even remember what it was about. It was about these like two sisters and their brother who were like, I don't even remember. They were like trying to discover powers or something. But then that didn't go well. So we decided we wanted to write a different story. So we got the idea for Hit by Magic, and it kind of stuck. We started writing it in 6th grade. So that's kind of how it originated.
How many pages are you at?
I think the book's like 99, but like we're still like in this huge editing process where we're like scrapping a bunch of stuff.
So Angel, what is your favorite part about co-writing? What is your least favorite and why?
My favorite part is probably having 2 minds instead of one, because that way we can get better ideas and make the story more interesting. My least favorite is probably having to like lots of conflicts in what to like call different things or what the story is going to be about or like what the next chapter is going to be. It just takes a long time to get to a decision.
So Maya, what does your process look like? Who wrote what and how do you decide?
So we both kind of assigned ourselves to different people. So, there were like 8 main characters that had chapters in the first book. So we split them. We both had 4. And we kind of made the main characters, they were both kind of like based off of us. So the main character Mabel, she was kind of inspired by me. And the main character May was inspired by Angel. And then we like worked from there, like, oh, I want to write this chapter. Oh, okay, then I want to write this person. And it kind of just went from there.
What do you do to push each other, and why do you work well together?
Well, we definitely comment each other's chapters a lot to make sure it's really what we want it to be like. And we will definitely be like, hey, please get on. We've been drifting away from our story lately. So we'll push each other to get on and write for a while. And we work together well because, well, we've been friends since 1st grade. So we definitely know each other, and we know how we write because we were on Power of the Pen together last year.
So, Maya, what does your editing process look like? Does it differ from your writing process? And if so, how?
It's funny that you asked that because we're kind of on the editing process. So we definitely took a huge break. Like, we did not look at it at all in 7th grade. We started writing it in 6th grade, but then we literally never came back to it in 7th grade. So our writing process is we kind of format the whole book like, okay, chapter 1, here's who's writing it, here's what it's about. And we go through the whole entire book. And then we write our chapters. And then our editing process, as of right now, it's kind of, okay, we're scrapping this chapter. Okay, we need to rewrite this entire chapter. Okay, this one's good. We just need to add a few things. And we're literally scrapping, I think, maybe half the book because it didn't look how we wanted it to.
Well, then what is your criteria to make it look, quote unquote, how you wanted it to? What do you look for in that to make it perfect, apparently?
Well, our 6th grade minds decided we wanted to write a book about how, like, these people try and bring their dead relatives back alive through killing themselves, which was kind of not very good. So we decided we needed to rewrite that and make it more, like, kind of kid-friendly. I just feel like...
More middle grade.
Yeah, like, that did not really match what we like to read either. We don't like reading books about people killing themselves to bring other people alive. And it didn't make much sense at parts. Like, there was one part where this guy threw, like, a metal water bottle at somebody, and then they, like, woke up covered in blood at the hospital. So we were like, okay, we need to rewrite that part, because it just, like, was not going very well. And since we didn't look at it at all in 7th grade, we didn't realize that it wasn't good at all.
It wasn't good. Yeah, I see that. So I go back and reread a lot of the stories that I've written. And so I find that a lot. I find, like, why would I think that this is entertaining? So, Angel, when do you guys write? Do you try and write every day? Do you write every other day? Do you FaceTime? What does that look like?
Well, we usually go on Google Docs. We don't really FaceTime or, like, do anything on, like, seeing each other's faces. But we do leave a lot of comments on Google Docs. So if one of them isn't writing that day, they can always look back on it later. We try to write a lot, but usually we don't have much time for it because, well, we have school and then we have dance, like, throughout the whole week. So we basically just try to write maybe sometimes after school, but we usually don't get a lot done. But sometimes we do it on the weekends to make up for the lost writing time during the week.
What do you want to do with this in the future, if anything?
So we kind of wanted to write, like, originally we wanted to put it on ebook because we wanted our voices to be heard, and it would be kind of fun to make money off of it too. But now a lot of our friends are talking about, like, how they want to get their books published. So that could be, like, a goal for us, because I think it'd be really cool to have, like, a book saying, like, by Maya and Angel on, like, the cover of a book. Like, that would be really cool.
Totally understand what you're saying. Like, I want to go to a library one day and see, like, the little white sticker that they have on the spine of the book that says, like, FIC RIV, or, like, YA RIV.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Like, it just would be incredible. And,
yeah.
Like, to go into a bookstore and see your book on the shelf, or, like, hear somebody recommend your book or something. Like, that would just be, like, the most magical experience. Because that's something that has only ever been in your head, and now the world gets to see it. So, yeah, I definitely want to publish.
Yeah. Or, like, to search your name and then have your book pop up on Google.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah, we're dreaming big dreams up in here. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I hope all the listeners enjoyed that. I definitely did.
When our book does get out there, make sure to look for it.
Oh, yeah, we definitely will, and I'll put an update on here. Thank you guys for coming on.
Wow, to hear the difference in writing styles and the process is really interesting.
Yeah, they use a lot of more technology than we do, and we use FaceTime. They don't talk face to face, and so that must be that's so much different than what Avery and I do. I mean, that's just kind of cool to see something else like that.
Also goes to show that there's more than one way to do it.
There is definitely more than one way to do it. But going into our quote for today, you can make anything by writing C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is, like, iconic.
Yes.
C.S. Lewis is Narnia, the big series.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only read the first book.
Maybe that'll get you out of your reader's slump.
Oh, no, yeah, I only read the first one. I loved it, though. It was really good.
But what does that quote mean to you?
It just means that, like, the sky's actually, that's wrong. There is no limit. You can do whatever you want, and with words, and that is the coolest thing. And oh my gosh.
How did you come across that?
Well, I really like C.S. Lewis's style and what they stand for, and all the books that they have written. I just really, really like it. It's because I've read so many awesome books, and then thinking that I could write one of those books. It's like going back to our interview when I said that I just want to be in a bookstore and see my book on the shelves. Like, I can do that. And then you can achieve anything by writing. So, I mean, I'm going to get to it that way. And it's really, really fun.
Big weekend for you with the podcast.
Yeah.
You're growing up with the podcast.
Growing up.
You want to share that news?
We're doing new platforms. Oh, we figured out how to use, what's the platform called?
We slow rolled the first couple of chapters, right?
Yeah.
So before, we really only put this out on YouTube.
YouTube.
But now we're putting it out on any podcast platform.
Like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the things.
Right.
So go check it out there and rate it.
Your producer does not allow you to have social media.
No.
And
Not
so
at all.
you broach this subject.
Hence the outro.
You broach the subject again of like, maybe this is our time now too.
Maybe this is our time, young Padawan.
And I was like, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Your associate producer is going to have to sign off on that.
No. We're going to have to redo the outro, Dad.
Yeah. Not as of right now.
You've been listening to Write That Down, the podcast of an aspiring author. Now, this is the part where I'm supposed to give a shameless plug of all my social media accounts, but my parents won't let me have any.
Write that down.
Thanks for listening. Happy writing!